Hello, thanks for stopping by my first video for YouTube. Today I'm going to be playing Green White Depths as piloted by Waka. This 75 actually just won one of the recent Moto challenges. I used to play a lot of Green White Depths before Oko got printed, so since this deck recently did well, a fair number of people have asked me for my thoughts on the deck. I think it's pretty well positioned. I've been playing it myself actually, but I just thought I'd go ahead and record a video. So this is Waka's Direct 75. This is not the list I have been playing. There's a couple differences between our lists, but let me just go over their list real quick. So for those unfamiliar, the basic plan is you want to make 2020 by using Dark Depths and Thespian Stage. So for anyone who's unfamiliar with the combo, Dark Depths is a land, reads, there we go. So it enters the battlefield with 10 ice counters. You can pay 3 to remove one. And when it has no ice counters on it, you sacrifice it and make Merit Lage legendary 2020 black avatar creature with flying and indestructible. And if you're playing Magic, you probably know your opponents start with 20 life, so 20 is a pretty good amount to attack for. So Thespian Stage becomes a copy of target land. So you copy Dark Depths, and then what happens is your Thespian Stage is now Dark Depths with 0 counters on it. So you sacrifice it, make your Merit Lage, and attack. Your creatures are here to facilitate that game plan. So you have Elvish Reclaimer, which has been kind of an all-star in both Modern and Legacy lately, actually. So this lets you tutor up creatures. Sorry, not creatures. Lets you tutor up lands to help you find your combo. Knight of the Reliquary also helps you tutor up lands. They both have a pretty good advantage of also just becoming pretty big beat sticks. Elvish Reclaimer becomes a 3/4, which means it dodges Lightning Bolt. Knight of the Reliquary becomes way bigger than a 3/4, so it also dodges Lightning Bolt, but you can often get it out of the range of Dismember and have it big enough to tussle with Tarmogoyfs, Hooting Mandrills. I've had it bigger than Uros, so that's always super helpful. Because you want to find your creatures, you're playing Green Sun Zenith, and since you're playing a Green Sun Zenith package, it's very easy to include a copy of Sylvan Safekeeper. Sylvan Safekeeper lets you sack a land to give one of your creatures Shroud. So it's pretty good for keeping your Merit Lage alive through a Swords to Plowshares. Also, just rounding out the creatures, we have Knight of Autumn, which is just a really good Green Sun Zenith target. It kind of does a lot for you. And then Skyclave Apparition cannot be found with Green Sun Zenith, but it's just this really versatile creature. So it's a pretty good inclusion in the deck. Sylvan Library is your source of card advantage. You're in green, so you need something. Crop Rotation is another way to find your combo. And then, some good old Swords of Plowshares is removal, additional removal, I guess you could say. Looking at the lands, you have a Dryad Arbor, which works really well with your Green Sun Zenith. Bojuka Bog, which is great. Instant speed graveyard hate with your creature that are land tutors. Flagstones of Trocaire works particularly well with Elvish Reclaimer. Crack is obviously great. Sajiri Step lets you win a lot of games. And then the Wastelands, can't play Knight of the Reliquary without Wasteland. And then, you have your Mox Diamonds, which are kind of dual purpose. They accelerate you into your later game threats, which is really nice. But also a lot of times your Mox Diamond ends up inadvertently kind of turning on your Elvish Reclaimers or your Knight of the Reliquaries, and that's really big. Also, just being able to play like turn 1 Sylvan Library is really huge in some matchups. So in the sideboard, fairly standard green-white sideboard type stuff. You've got your combo hate and deafening silence, your additional removal in the form of Path to Exile, Carpet of Flowers, generally good against blue decks, as is Veil of Summer. Collector Oof is kind of insane, also really good with Green Sun Zenith. Choke, pretty good against blue decks. I'm a little bit worried about it. A lot of people are playing Abundant Growth and Prophetic Prism, which those cards are definitely not Arcum's Astrolabe, but they do have the same effect of meaning your blue opponents aren't necessarily as playing as many islands as they once would have. So it's kind of awkward having this card in some matchups because if you're playing against somebody like earlier today, I was watching a match and the opponent had Tundra, so it's like yes, you have your blue source, but they also had out a Bayou and a Savannah and like a basic forest and then just like a prophetic prism, and they were casting all their spells, and it was like okay, well, Choke would do absolutely nothing there. Force of Vigor, obviously great. Bog as a second piece of graveyard hate, and then Mindbreak Traps to help you kind of shore up combos. So it's a pretty streamlined list. It's it's going to be really good at fighting against other fair strategies. Your creatures tend to line up well against opposing creatures, and then you can kind of present this combo. The combo doesn't have to be your game, like your main game plan. It could be kind of your backup game plan, and you can kind of really just go on board with my creatures are going to just be bigger than yours plan. So I really like this against most fair decks. It struggles against blue-white control decks in particular. Not necessarily the other flavors of control. Like I'm not really that worried about something like a Grixis or Bug control. I mean, every deck's going to put up a fight, obviously, but those decks are much easier to beat than blue white. The issue with blue white is it tends to be full of things like Terminus and Supreme Verdicts, and having those board sweep effects is much harder to recover from. When you're playing black, people don't really play things like Damnation. They lean more towards stuff like Toxic Deluge, which is going to cost them a lot of life that they can't necessarily afford. Or Dread of Winter is obviously the big one, but that oftentimes won't actually kill a Knight of the Reliquary. So things like that are just kind of less concerning. But blue white tends to be a little bit better at stopping the creatures. The other rough matchups are combo decks in general. Um, we're a green white deck, so there's no counter magic. So you don't really have a good way to interact with stuff like that. Again, we're trying to shore that up a little bit in the sideboard with Mindbreak Traps and Deafening Silence. And Veil of Summer and Collector Ouphe. But really, the game plan there is to just try to move quick, and that's one of the big advantages this deck has over something like Maverick. This deck is often compared to Maverick. I don't think that's necessarily the best comparison. The games play out pretty differently. The toolbox plan in Maverick is a huge part of it, but it's really slow, so sometimes they can't close out those games against combo decks once it's hitting them out. Whereas this one can present a very fast kill when it needs to. So, without further ado, we should probably head into the matches now. Okay, so I think we're going to see exactly what I was talking about, was saying I struggle against combo decks. Our opponent is Casey Lancaster. Casey is a very, what's the word? A very accomplished lands player. But lately, I know he's been trying out Arclight Phoenix strategies and Entombsday in particular. So this hand is not really going to be particularly great against either. Having the removal is pretty good if he is on the Delver Arclight Phoenix deck, but his hand is really going to struggle if he's on Doomsday. We're going to keep. That could definitely be a mistake. Certainly not faulting anyone for shipping this hand. So we're gonna go ahead and pitch this Dryad over to Mox Diamond, and on the surface, it doesn't really look like I actually need to have the mana out, but if they have something where we want a crop rotation, then it's nice to play around days. So it actually looks like he's on lands. which, funny enough, is a good matchup, but this hand is really not situated for that. That might help. So I'll go ahead and see what he's doing here. Yeah, that makes sense. Really wish we had one more mana, because then we could Bojuka Bog that loam. Presumably he's got more going on, though. There's probably like a Valakut Exploration or something in hand. Okay, on the off chance that he taps out, he's dead. But I don't think Casey would make a mistake like that. That seems kind of amateur. I guess I shouldn't say that, because now if he does it, I'm going to sound like kind of a jerk. But yeah, Casey knows what's up. So hopefully we draw a land here. And then we'll play the sweet. So we'll go ahead and play this Elvish Reclaimer. It's really nice to note that if Casey has the Punishing Fire here, then we can go ahead and sack both of our lands and actually just go ahead and protect ourselves. I mean, by protect ourselves, I mean, make this into a 3/4. So we'll see what they do here. Elvish Reclaimer is really good in this matchup. Swords to Plowshares is not really good in this matchup. Yeah, kind of interested to see that actually happen. It's possible that he'll follow this up with a Bojuka Bog. And that would still kill our Reclaimer. Yep, okay. So that makes sense. Likewise, it might actually be a pretty good time to bog him. So bogging him would get rid of the Punishing Fire, which could be an issue, as well as the Life from Loam, which is definitely an issue. But we'll untap and see what happens, because like if we draw a Wasteland, for instance, we can just go ahead and present the combo. Okay, so that's really good. We're just gonna go ahead and be willing to throw away the Thespian Siege here. So I think it's actually pretty likely that he has Valakut Exploration, which would not be good for us here, but hopefully not. And the reason I say that I suspect he has that is I just don't think that you would keep a hand off the strength of just Life from the Loam. It really needs something to pair with it if you don't have some form of acceleration. Yeah, losing the Bojuka Bog is not unexpected. Casey is actually going to present the combo himself. Reasonable. So before we sort that, we could just draw into Caracas. Or a third Swords to Plowshares. The odds of using all this mana are not super high. So we're going to put this back. We'll keep this. Going to play the Wasteland. And so we could have crop rotationed into Crocus there, but the crop rotation is so strong in this matchup, I'd rather keep it for hopefully a more impactful action later. Let's just get that out of the way. We're always drawing off of our Sylvan Library. There's nothing in this matchup that would punish us for that. Okay, so this is not very good. Notably, we have the option here. We could wasteland them off of both of their red sources and kind of hope they don't have another land. It seems unlikely that that would work out, but it's always worth considering. Knight of Autumn is actually pretty good here. I'm actually just gonna. Ooh. So part of me. Oh yeah, I got rid of the Punishing Fire. I'm just gonna take all of them. I would like to get us through our deck. So that hopefully we can draw the good cards. This Knight of Autumn's really good in case Casey ends up playing a Valakut Exploration or a Sylvan Library of their own. Two cards in hand. Unlikely that we need to be scared of too much. Oh wow, this is kind of painful because I would I would really like both of these cards, but I don't want to pay that amount of life again. So I'm actually just going to take the knight here. That might look a little bit weird because I understand if I take the Thespian Sage, I can present the combo on the spot, but the knight is a little bit stronger in the matchup. It's much more possible for something to go wrong if I just present the combo. That could be too cautious. Having only two cards in hand, it's not super likely that he has anything. That's really good. This is a pretty powerful turn for him. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Oh, the Field of the Dead going away is pretty good for us. Okay, so he only has one unknown card. Okay, so there's actually an argument to make here. So on the surface, this Knight of Autumn can blow up the Valakut Exploration, but if that one card is a crop rotation, then this Mox Diamond can break something up. But also, if it's a crop rotation, then he can just use it on his own turn anyways. So it's a little unfortunate we don't have a Greenstone Zenith because we could get Sullen Safekeeper and protect ourselves. But what we're going to do here is we're going to up the Valakut Exploration, make it a little bit harder for him to find things. Interesting. So we'll see what he gets here. Oh, that's pretty good. So he's really just digging for answers. So he hit Mox Diamond and a second Valakut Exploration. So that's not going to do anything. And now he doesn't even have mana for his own Thespian Stage to work. So I'm just going to go ahead here and do the thing. I'm trying to think if there's a reason to actually leave Wasteland out. I don't think there is. And also, by leaving up the Mox Diamond, we're essentially leaving up Wasteland anyways, because we can crop rotation if need be. Oh, he can still play that this turn? Okay. I clearly don't know how Valakut Exploration works. Let me reread this. Control exile the top card of your library and move play that card for as long as it remains exiled at the beginning of your end step. Okay, that makes sense. So I'm just gonna let this happen. So I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and bounce that. And there was actually a pretty good argument for keeping the Dark Depths there too, just to present the combo again faster if need be. That crop rotation is somewhat problematic. He's probably gonna get a Crocus of his own. This is a weird play, but I don't want to just accidentally die to Valakut Exploration. So, wow, second crop rotation. That's really strong. That's gross. That's really gross. I'm not sure what you actually get with this. Like, he's still very far behind. Possibly Glacial Chasm? I mean, no, that doesn't really do anything. But you might just get Fetch Land again? I don't know what you're looking for here. Exile Sylvan Library? Yeah, I mean, so I don't want to complain because I still feel quite ahead, but his draws have been very good. Okay, so is there anything that I want to get instead here? Notably 9, 10, 11. I can actually present lethal here. right? Because I can make all my lands go away if I want. Um, so if I wasteland this, because he has no plays left, then this is going to put me to 10 for the night. I can waste land 11, 12. I need one more, so I'm just going to, yeah, that's fine. So I'm not really sure what the pause here is. He has no game actions he can take. Okay. So that was a cool game. Yeah. I really appreciated that there was a lot of back and forth there, actually. So in terms of our lands, they're actually all pretty good, so I'm going to keep all of those. Long Simons are great. The Swords of Plowshares are awkward because they have very few targets, but the target they do have is so important. In previous builds, I've played with Ramunap Excavator, really kind of wish that card was here. Skyclave Apparition, also a little bit awkward because it can't hit the target we want it to. So these cards are insane. We definitely want them. This card's pretty good, actually. So in library against the grindy prison deck, always good. Actually, most of our cards are really good. So there's not too much I'm looking to cut. Probably looking to shave on this. I'm even interested in keeping Skyclave in to hit the enchantments. So cards I want to bring in. I really like Force of Vigor. I really like Jukabog. And then, you know what? I'm actually going to change these swords for the path. In general, swords is a better card than path, but giving my opponent mana shouldn't make a huge difference, and giving them 20 life can make a huge difference. So I kind of like the way this is set up. So this is how we're going to present for game 2. So this is a matchup where green white depths is better than green black depths. The green black depths deck definitely can win this matchup. Don't get me wrong, but that matchup's a little bit harder. This matchup, since you have neither Reliquary, is much better. So this hand is a little bit slower than I would like. If we draw a Mock Diamond on 1, this hand gets pretty good. The issue with this hand is you're not doing anything till turn 3. The cards you have are very powerful. So again, I'm going to keep. It's a risky keep. It's actually probably not a keep anymore. Under the old Mulligan rules, it probably was a keep, and under the new ones, it's probably not, if I'm being totally honest. But I just kind of want to see how this works out. So I'm bringing you all on my little experiment with me. Playing slightly slower than my opponent, so maybe experimenting and possibly giving up a game where we would have to get a game 3 is not the best move I've ever made. Oh, wow. My opponent mulliganed pretty low. It's not great for content, but is good for for winning, hopefully. Elvish Reclaimer, huge draw there, especially since we already have the Flagstones in hand. Huge, huge draw. Okay, Exploration, pretty good from the opponent. Do they have the Life from the Loam here? Oh, Punishing Fire, that's also really good. It's unfortunate. They only have one card in hand, though, so that seems promising for us. I wonder what that last card is. That's okay. That was a good hand for them. So making sure to crack the fetch to do this. So our Knight of the Reliquary will be out of range for the Punishing Fire. Oh, duh. They're just gonna blow it up. I don't know how I missed that. It's literally on the board. I mean, that being said, we probably still just have to put it out there, but maybe I was supposed to wait for a Wasteland or something. This might have been a mistake. This was probably a mistake. Wow, that was aggressive. Just hitting a Savannah, that's a weird play to me. I wonder what the rationale was. Again, Casey's a very good player. He wouldn't just do something just to do it. Okay. If Flynn was the draw, then that makes a lot of sense. So he picked up what? A fetch and a wasteland? Oh, and the blast zone. Getting blast zone is pretty good against my Elvish Reclaimer. While I get the play, I don't really love it. Okay, so for our turn, thinking ahead a couple seconds, we have the option to cast Night of Autumn rather, and blow up their exploration. And that means that their life from the loan would really be on a one-on-one basis with what we're doing. So that would definitely make things better, but I think given the long-term implications, it's still not great. They would eventually run us out of lands, so that's definitely a battle that they would win. The play that I do like making is getting a Bajuka Bog, getting rid of their cards. Okay, wow, he is hardcore in this mana denial plan. I mean, it makes sense. Oh wow, he ran us out of Savannahs. So yeah, I mean, I guess I do like his plan more than I didn't realize that was all three. I mean, that makes sense. Oof. And he still has the blast zone in hand. That's really good. Okay, but now he's out of things, so that's pretty good for us. If we can find a green source, yeah, we're in pretty good shape here. This turn's kind of awkward. I think it's probably best not to do anything. I don't really want to give up the Caracas if I don't have to. The Skyclave Apparition isn't doing anything. I guess I can play the Dark Depths. My concern with playing the Dark Depths is if they play a Thespian stage. But the thing is, I can just play a Caracas next turn, so I don't love playing it, but I don't think it's super likely we get punished. But if we get punished, we get punished real hard. It's like the last card I wanted to see. So one of the differences between the list I'm playing and the list, or I should say the list I've been playing in leagues and the list that I'm currently playing is I don't have 4 copies of my assignment. I only have 3 because drawing it in multiples is so bad. And this is kind of that. Okay, so drawing the forest is huge. We didn't see any Rishid imports game 1, so I can probably just run it out. It might be better to play the Mox Diamond, but I think it's probably better to play the forest. So now we have to question, is there a reason to blow up the exploration? I think there is. If our opponent plays like a Valakut exploration off the top, they might be able to do more than I would really like. It's also possible. Oh yeah, I knew about the Punishing Fire. I kind of forgot about that. No, we exiled the one we knew about. Psycho's Quarter is really huge. Speaking of cards that are huge, so we can get neither Reliquary. The reason I kind of hesitated was if the card in hand is a crop rotation, Ghost Quarter plus the crop rotation would end the game, and not in a way that's good for us. But the fact of the matter is, if that's what he has, he's so low on resources, he'll probably go for it regardless. So I think we just want to get another Reliquary here. You know, actually, this card is not. Oh, right, we knew their card. I was going to say this card is actually not all that here, because we are running out of lands. Okay, the crop rotation is really big. So we can probably end the game here. We're certainly going to try for it. Well, we're going to see what happens, and then more than likely try to end the game. Him not doing anything is kind of concerning. I don't really want to give up my white source. I really don't want to give up anything. I think I'm going to do it anyways. That was probably a mistake. Because actually, yeah, that was a mistake, I think. But we'll see what happens here. Interesting that he didn't respond. I'm not really sure what that means. So if he breaks this up, at least we are left with a 2-turn clock, so that's really good. Okay, yeah, that's just the match. Sweet. Okay, so back for round 2 of this league. If I did my editing right, which I probably didn't, hopefully you did not even realize they went anywhere. But seeing as I've never edited a video, well, that's actually not true. But seeing as it's been over a decade since I last edited a video, hopefully, hopefully you don't realize that I went anywhere. But I probably did it wrong. So this looks like a keep. We have removal, we have a threat, we have a second threat, we've got a wasteland. Like this is a pretty versatile hand. Does a lot of what we might want it to do. So let's see what our opponent's on. I guess we don't get to see what they're on because we're on the play. So we have slight options here. We could play the Windswept Heath, kind of hide what we're on ever so slightly, play Flag Stones. They'll probably think we're on Death and Taxes. Wasteland is, I guess, the best way to not give up any information. It's possible that we want to get Triad Arbor with Green Sun Zenith here. That would speed up the Night of the Reliquary, which is really good. It's kind of awkward in the fact that if something happens to the Dryad Harbor, we kind of just don't have a plan anymore. That being said, I do think that is likely the correct line. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Also, if they have removal, you know, hopefully they use it on this, and then we get to stick the knight. If only we had a Mox Diamond, I would have very happily gotten an Elvish Reclaimer. Elvish Reclaimer would have been much better. Okay, so Underground Sea Preordain is probably not a great sign. It's probably Storm. So let's see what they did. 2 cards on top. Ugh. So there goes really our chance of Mana Screwing them. That being said, we're going to do this anyways. This means next turn we can still actually play the knight in theory. And if not, it's because they used their spell to get rid of the Dryad Arbor, and then we still have a good play with the Flagstones and the Elvish Reclaimer. And this means that we kind of have a turn where if I was going to say if Bojuka Bog ends up being relevant, we can get that set up. Okay, so looks like it's Reanimator. 10 Fins. Okay, got it. So, you know, this is fun. I actually generally don't think these strategies are particularly good, but obviously they can always just kind of run over people who don't have anything ready for them. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty confident I'm dead here. So talking about the sideboard real quick, this is you know, one of the differences between my list and the list that I'm currently playing. So despite the fact I don't think graveyard decks are particularly good, I I tend to respect them heavily in my sideboard decisions. And that I think is actually why I'm less concerned about them. I think as long as you play appropriate graveyard hate, they're really easy to beat. The decks fold pretty hard to things like Leyline of the Void, which I always play. Oh, they're going for themselves. They're going to shallow grave themselves. So I typically play copies of Leyline of the Void in my list. I've played Surgical Extraction before. So I think having things like that is really helpful. This list has the second Bojuka Bog, but my issue with the Bojuka Bog is it can be a little bit too slow. It does have the upside of if you draw it mid-game, it actually does something. but I think having the one copy is good enough since you're tutoring for it more often than not anyways. I wonder if the swords would have done anything there. Probably not. They drew like a million cards. Uh, that being said, there are actually some pretty good options here. So we do have to question, will our opponent sideboard into Doomsday, which is a common strategy for the Entomb decks, and if so, how much of a difference does that make? That's actually one of the upsides to not having Leyline of the Void, is there's no chance I bring it in and it ends up being a dead card, which is definitely a possibility. Okay, so the Skyclave Apparition is not doing anything. If my opponent runs out of Chrome Box or something, I might be able to hit it. That's not winning me games. The Snide of Autumn isn't doing anything. Sylvan Library is pretty good against discard heavy decks, but it's a little slow. It's possible I want to shave a copy. I don't think this deck is known for having bounce effects. I'm definitely not tutoring for this. Swords of Plowshares is pretty iffy if they cut the Gristlebrands. Even if they have the Gristlebrands, this isn't really the plan I want to be on, although it does have the potential to win games. So I'm likely just going to shave. So this is obviously great. Mox Diamond, great. And I think all of the lands here are pretty relevant. It's always something I'm going to look at because, sometimes decks are all basics. So you might want to cut a Wasteland, or, your Bojuka Bog might not do anything. So those are the cards I'm like happy to cut. So cards I'm interested in bringing in: the Mindbreak Traps, the Deafening Silence, the Bojuka Bog, which I might want to bring in over another land. The Veil of Summers actually seem pretty good. I'm interested in trading up the swords for Path to Exile. So there's definitely an argument for trying to get Collector Oof in here, as well as Carpet of Flowers. I'm running out of time though, so I'm gonna real quick, or real slow. I do want that Collector Oof. This feels sacrilegious, but Knight is obviously great, but can be a little slow. The Collector Oof, we're just gonna bring in. I'm actually not sure how reliant on artifact mana this deck is. I guess it really didn't need it that game to do anything, but I think it's pretty good. Okay. So this hand seems like a keep. So I'm going to go ahead and put a Reclaimer into play. Having Mindbreak Trap in our opener is pretty lucky. Pretty lucky. It's possible it won't be good enough, but certainly don't hate having it. Be insane if we just draw a Dark Depths off the top. That'd be so good. Okay, opponent's thinking. Think away, opponent. Your deck is fairly complicated. Yeah, my friends laugh at me when I talk about graveyard decks because I just constantly talk about them being so beatable. And my friend was My friend Chris was trying to build into Red-Black Reanimator for a while, and I think he might have actually built it actually, but I was trying to talk him out of it, so I just, come on, you couldn't cast one more spell? uh, so I was trying to talk him out of building it, and I just kept posting screenshots of me just dunking on graveyard decks, but specifically Red-Black Reanimator. And now I'm getting dunked on. It's really unfortunate, but it is what it is. Shame they didn't play something like a Lotus Petal first. I guess it's not impossible that their hand has everything and they might try to go off here, but it seems fairly unlikely. They're probably going to pass the turn, knowing that my deck doesn't really have a way to beat Thassa's Oracle. So they might not play around Mindbreak Trap and go for it next turn and just get got. That would be pretty nice. An interesting point is that if we draw land, then we can actually just hardcast the Mindbreak Trap. Doesn't necessarily need to be free. So like even if they had waited a turn and done this, like that might have been not good enough. That's pretty exceptional though. You typically cannot hardcast Mindbreak Trap in this deck. I don't want to make that seem like I'm expecting that to be the plan. Certainly not. Okay, so my opponent has finished their Doomsday. Huh, no Edge of Autumn. Interesting. I wonder if they are in the just like Emrakul still plan. Might be. Okay, so they actually do have bounce. So it's possible. I'm still not gonna look for Stolen Safekeeper. This is all assuming that I somehow make it through this turn, of course. I don't see any discard here, which is interesting. I see. Oh, there's some Thoughtseizes. So they might have two more Thoughtseizes. They could have Cabal Therapy. Interesting. 1 force, 2 force. Yeah, it seems likely they have answers for this Mindbreak Trap, but we'll see. We're actually still going to make the mana in case their answer to Flusterstorm happens to be. I mean, if their answer to Mindbreak Trap happens to be Flusterstorm, we want to keep as much mana available as we can. Seems unlikely to work out for us, but gotta play to your outs. It's I still think it's cool that Doomsday has seen like this resurgence. Oh, wonderful. They're actually going to lose to Mindbreak Trap. Nice. Good. It's a good game. Both sides fought hard. My opponent took a lot of game actions. I took a couple of my own. So I think we're just going to run it back like this. I wonder if they will stick on the Doomsday plan or not. I assume that they will. They're definitely going to just play around Mindbreak Trap a little bit more, though. Okay, so this hand doesn't do anything. It actually just doesn't do anything. Let's run them all again. Yeah, this is a bit better. It's not everything I want to see necessarily. So this is an awkward one. So I definitely want the Reclaimer in case they are on the graveyard plan again. I definitely want the Thespian stage. I guess Fail Summer is probably the weakest card. Well, what am I doing with this Green Sun Zenith is kind of a question too. Because like on turn 1, I want to play the Reclaimer. I don't want a Green Sun Zenith. So I think that's the card that goes. It's either the Green Sun or the Veil, but I think it's the Green Sun. The Veil is good if I am lucky enough to draw Mindbreak Trap in. So now the question becomes, assuming I draw Mindbreak Trap on my turn, do I play the Elvish Reclaimer or do I just play the Forest and pass? I think I would just play the Forest and pass. Because at that point, I don't necessarily need the Reclaimer. Oh, wow, they went to 3 cards? Did not catch that. Oh, that's like so rough. Man, I wish I had kept the Green Sun Zenith. If I could just get Collector Oof. Oh, man. Yeah, I messed up. Oh, well. Oh, that Green Sun Zenith would be so huge. Wow, I feel kind of bad for them. The reason I'm not attacking is, again, just in case they do try to do graveyard things. If I lose this game from here, I'm going to be pretty upset. Not going to lie. Last turn, end of turn, I screwed up by not turning the forest into something. In my head, I kind of had planned to do that. I had thought about turning it into a Flagstones, and then I thought to myself, oh, that doesn't make sense because then I won't have a green source. But I should have just turned it into a Savannah. So that's a huge mistake. So I guess I'll just turn this Wasteland into a Savannah here. This attack shouldn't matter one way or the other. It might if they have Street Wraith and can't kill us or something. Not sure. Okay, cool. So back for round 3. This hand is very funny. It's just laughing at me. So we're going to go ahead and mulligan this, obviously. I don't really like this hand, but I'm planning to keep it. We will get rid of... As much as I regretted getting rid of the last Green Sun Zenith, I feel like that's the pick. I'm going to get rid of Skyclave Apparition. I don't know how easy it'll be for me to have double white this game. I guess it's not that hard. Okay, that's a really good draw. Snow-covered island pass. Could be anything. I just have this sick feeling that it's sneak and show, and they're gonna play show and tell here and put in sneak attack, and I'm gonna be so mad I don't have that Skyclave. Okay, they're not proving me wrong yet. It's probably blue-red Delver though. No cantrip or anything. Okay, it's probably not Delver. It's probably a control deck of some sort. We're gonna go ahead and pitch this Dark Depths. It's gonna get spell pierced. Oh no, no, we're not gonna pay for that. We're gonna, find a Dryad Arbor. Okay, so it's probably blue-red Delver. It doesn't seem like they have any counter magic available currently, so if we... Not what I was hoping for. I was gonna say if we draw a land, we're just gonna go for it. Oh, don't tell me you drew something. Okay. I don't love Sylvan Library against such an aggressive deck, and I also hate having Dryad Arbor as one of my lands, especially when I'm short on mana. Like if they just like cantrip into Lightning Bolt plus Wasteland, that would be huge. Faithless Leaning. Okay, so they're probably a Phoenix deck. That's okay, definitely a Phoenix deck. So that's cool. That seems not good for me. Oh, shoot. Really wish I had left this crop rotation out. Getting Pajuka Bog here would be massive. I did not really see this coming, though, I'll be honest. Don't be Lightning Bolt, don't be Lightning Bolt, don't be Lightning Bolt, don't be Lightning Bolt. Come on, don't do it. You don't want to make a grown man cry on a YouTube video. Oh my God. That's so backbreaking. Yeah, I think that is more than likely the game. That's absurd. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we got. Likely nothing. I'm trying to think of what our outs to this even would be. Okay, so if we play the plains, yep, we are dead. Going out on my terms. Going out by drawing cards. That was brutal. That was so brutal. And the worst part was we correctly identified that they didn't have any counter magic. And, if I just left up the crop rotation, I would have been golden. I mean, not golden. I still would have had this bright dragon to contend with, but you know, it would have been better. Okay, so Dried Arbor is weak, but I'm gonna leave it in because I kind of need to. I mean, they might have Brazen Bower or Vapor Snag or something, but I'm not keeping Sullen Safekeeper in. Let's just be real. I'm gonna shave or possibly completely cut these. These cards all seem good. There's a lot of cards I want to bring in, so I'm probably cutting all of the libraries. I think I want Chokes. Cardinal Flower seems good. Fail seems good. Not absurd or anything, but all of these cards seem good. Chokes are probably too slow. Is this too much spot removal, I wonder? I don't think so. I thought I cut that. So I left these cards in, which is not helpful. I'm just going to shave a bunch of cards. And yeah, I shaved good cards, but I shaved kind of the slower ones. So even though they're super impactful, my thought process is I don't want to draw too many of them too early. I'm like loaded up on 1-drops, so that's good. Hate that I'm about to pitch a thespian stage, but it is what it is. I actually think I'm going to get a Dried Arbor, offer it up for slaughter again. Oh my goodness, if they force this, that is so bad for us. Don't do it, opponent. Man, that would have been just like devastatingly brutal. Okay, well, better the Green Sun Zenith than the Mox Diamond. Honestly, play like Shattering Spree here. I laugh, but I would not be stunned. Okay, just a ponder. That's not scary. Huh, that's really good. It seems unlikely that they're really going to be able to produce Phoenixes when they return. Because we didn't see any black in their deck, so I don't think I have to worry about Dark Ritual, Buried Alive type shenanigans. So I think we can hold off on the Deafening Silence a turn. Hopefully we draw a land. Hopefully we draw Flag Zones. I mean, that might just be asking for too much, but that would obviously be the best draw on our deck right now. But this Deafening Silence should be pretty good. Card's got cool artwork. Never really looked at it. I really like that. I think this would be sweet on an old border card. Huh? There goes Elvish Reclaimer. Come on, land. Land one time. Not a land. Okay, so go ahead and cast this card. Yeah, I mean, I'll pay. I wonder if they have the second days or if they're just kind of hoping for the best. Funny, you are not stopping me from doing anything. I can only play one spell a turn. Until my man decides to cooperate. Oh my goodness. So this is like extra frustrating because I don't even think that card is good against my deck. Like I play 4 artifacts. They probably think I am like more of a Maverick deck. They are probably expecting Stoneforge Mystic, which I don't have, and Null Rod is generally not good against me, but right here it's so brutal. Oh well, I mean, it is what it is. We've had a good start. If this is how it goes down, this is how it goes down. I mean, we can still obviously just draw land. Okay, that is a step in the right direction. So the question here becomes, do I just like try to get an Elvish Reclaimer, or do I like crop rotation for a white source? It's like have swords online. I think it's probably that one. If I get forced, that's probably the game ending though. So it's a little scary. That being said, I'm gonna do it. Oh, I forgot to float mana first. Oh my god. That that could have been devastating. Okay, so I only have 2 lands in my yard, so I'm actually gonna get a fetch land. And so the reason for this is if I draw an Elvish Reclaimer, then I have a 3/4. It's possible I'm just supposed to get plains. I don't think my opponent has wastelands. I'm like trying to think, did I see wastelands last game? I can't cast that. What am I doing? One spell a turn. I think could have wastelands, but it's kind of counterintuitive with the whole trying to cast multiple spells a turn. But I mean, it's played a long Yen Pyromancer, so maybe that's dumb reasoning. Okay, I'll take the hit here. And then end of turn, I will cast Swords of Plowshares, or in response. Okay. I was hoping they would cast as well. Here comes the spell. They know I have it. I already tapped the white earlier. Which one am I supposed to hit? I think I'm supposed to hit the Sprite Dragon. It's smaller, but next turn it'll be the same size and it'll just be bigger. So I'd rather just get that going. Man, this null rod is like infuriating. Oh well. It is what it is. Hopefully that is not the land I was hoping to draw. Well, land would have been very good there. I could Green Sun Zenith for a Reclaimer and then still have swords up on their turn. So as it stands, I'm just going to try the swords again. Sweet. Glad that worked. Okay, so are they going to hardcast Arclight Phoenix here? It's kind of what I'm thinking is coming. Yep. Makes sense. Whoops, sorry about that. Yep, okay. Wow, drawing another Mox Diamond is just like adding insult to injury. I still have the Dried Arbor? In my mind, that was already dead. I don't know why I'm thinking that. It might not be great, actually. I need another white source, obviously. This is a very slow way to get me there, though. That being said, you know, at this rate, I'm going to die to a lightning bolt. Okay, land. Land, let's go, land. Come on, one time land. Wow, rude. So rude. Yeah, let's get that out of here. Hopefully this Delver does not flip. Ever. I was gonna say I got rewarded for getting rid of the Thespian Sage instead of the Forest earlier. I guess that's not strictly true because I would have Thespian Sage, Savannah Plains, and then this Knight would be pretty good. Present the combo a lot quicker, which might be the difference between winning and losing. Because I have to fade these things flipping for 2 turns and any removal spells. So it's a little worrying. Okay, it's a lot worrying. It's a lot. Yeah, their deck is designed to flip the card, so it's not super likely. Yep, we're dead. And even though we're dead, I just want to highlight, I think that was a misstep from my opponent there. Since you can only cast one spell, like one non-creature spell a turn anyways, I don't think mana is particularly relevant right now. And if that's the case, I think they should have checked their first Delver, and then if it wasn't a spell, drew a card. But, I mean, whatever. Much like it seems every hand I'm keeping, this hand is a bit sketchy. It has the combo and it has the Sylvan Library, which is really good, but it's really slow. This hand is pretty bad against Death and Taxes. So I have regrets immediately. Oh, death and taxes. This matchup is tricky. I actually think this matchup is much better for the green-white version than the green-black version, though. It's actually one of the hardest matchups for green-black depths. This version, you get the benefit of playing creatures that are, generally speaking, much better than their creatures. So that gives you a lot of additional game. Okay, them not doing anything would imply they likely have Stoneforge Mystic. So even though I kind of want to play Sylvan Library here, I think I'm supposed to keep up Swords to Plowshares for the Stoneforge Mystic, or actually more appropriately, if they put in Stoneforge Mystic and then try to equip to the Thalia, then I can Swords the Thalia in response while Caracas is down. So that would be huge. Okay, they did not do anything, so I am clearly full of crap. I don't know how to play Magic. So thanks for watching the video, somebody who doesn't know how to play Magic. Okay, well, that's gotta go. Them having Wasteland and Caracas is so huge. Uh, Sorry about my dogs in the background, assuming I don't edit the sound out of this, which I will probably forget to do, if I'm being completely honest. Okay, so there you are, Wastelanding in response. So I'm just going to prop rotation this away. And I think we're going to get our own Wasteland, because this Caracas is going to need to go. Starts the Mother of Runes. There was no reason to do that quite end of turn, I guess. Yeah, can't say Flicker Wisp is unexpected. So I'm going to hit the Mother when it enters play again. I'm just going to get this out of the way now. Really wish I could play a Sylvan Library here, but unfortunately, then the Mother of Runes would never go away. I need the Mother of Runes to go away, or the Flicker Wisp will forever block the Merit Lage if I'm fortunate enough to make one. Okay, so Trial on 3. Okay, they have another land. So 2 unknown cards in hand. Oh, I might have been supposed to waste land there. Unfortunately, I kind of just auto-yielded. But I think I was supposed to waste land there. It's now if they have a Flicker Rose, I'm just dead. Because that would not have necessarily... I guess that would have been the case still. And then that was a mistake because then I couldn't play the Sylvan Library. I really clearly did not think that one through. That'll cost me the game actually. I mean, I was probably going to lose either way, but that locks me out of being able to win. So what would I have drawn? Oh, I didn't even consider Skyclave, so that's a lesson. I should have played it out. Still probably dead, but if I wasteland there, go to 2 off the tax, then I could Skyclave the Flicker was have a blocker for the Thalia, although only for a turn. It would die and then we get a token. Yeah, I'm just dead. Still, doesn't hurt to play things out. Pachuca Bog is an instant cut. Rest of lands are pretty good. Mox Diamond, I typically like to shave 1 or 2 copies, sometimes all copies. It's really bad against Flicker Wisps. It's pretty bad against Thalia. The rest of the cards are all pretty good. So what am I interested in bringing in? I definitely want the pass, and the Collector Oof is really good. Force of Vigor is also pretty strong. I'm going to keep 2 Mox Diamonds in just because, even though they're not great for this matchup, they're just so good in general. I think I like this setup quite a bit, though. So yeah, I definitely could have played that game better, but, my opponent, pardon me, did have a lot going on. Even if I had played well, which I don't think I did, it seems unlikely that the outcome would have been much different than it was. But I regret not playing better. You should always just strive to play the best you can. I like this hand. Get rid of one of these extra reclaimers. Oh! I meant to get rid of Dryad Arbor because I was going to tutor for it. Oh well. Not having a play is unusual. Then I'm just going to turn these Elvish Reclaimers into 3/4s in a moment. I wonder what they'll name. There's a lot of things that they can name. Because they might name Mox Diamond. But they could also name Elvish Reclaimer. I mean, I think they're going to name Reclaimer. But we get the Flagstones anyways. Actually, I I don't know. Yeah, but I think that's the right name. So that makes getting flag zones kind of awkward. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's really good. Good thing we have this Grandson Zenith so we can find an answer for Feast of Famine. Come on, attack. Do it, you won't. Coward. So I hate giving my opponent a land here, but I'm also giving myself lands. So, um, it's possible I'm just supposed to get a wasteland there. Wow, drawing a Thespian Siege is like actually pretty nice. This looks kind of bad because now if this Flaxstones had been like a Dark Depths, well, no, because I don't have a wasteland. Or yeah, I don't need a wasteland. What am I saying? If Flaxstones had been a Dark Depths, that might have been better. Well, I'm just gonna make a Merit Age now. No, so my issue is if I make a Merit Age now, it just dies to like Caracas or Swords to Plowshares. So I don't actually really like that. I'm probably gonna wait a turn because then I can Green Sun Zenith for the protection dude whose name I can't think of right now for some reason. I'll actually get him now, I guess. Maximize the mana I have next turn. Although this wasteland is going to really ruin things. Okay, maybe I should have kept up. Sorry, I got distracted thinking about something else, and I definitely just kind of switched my plan in the middle there, and I don't think I fully considered what I was doing. Uh, I don't think that was good. But I mean, I still think we're in a fairly good spot. It's just we could have set ourselves up better against this sort of feast and famine because we're not going to be able to combo with the wasteland sitting there. So yeah, we're going to be one mana shy of where I would like to be. Okay, what is happening here? Can I just resolve my abilities, please? Please. So we're going to hit the wasteland here. If we draw a land, then if we draw a land and they don't Rashad and Port us for some reason, we're in like quite a good spot. Actually, I don't think they can afford to Rashad and Port us. We did not draw the land, but we did draw an answer for sort of feast and famine, which is pretty neat. I kind of want to attack, but I also, if I run into a Batter Skull, I'm going to be really upset. But if I run into Batter Skull, they probably put it in off report and that, and then yeah, that seems not great. King Collector Oof here probably wins the game. Wait a minute. I am really overthinking this. What's going to happen is I'm going to wasteland them. They're going to do whatever. I'm going to sack some stuff and get a Dark Depths. I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to have the Sultan Safekeeper. And I don't know why I overthought that way too much. I think in my head I had one less mana because of the Rishadan port. I don't know if it's Rishadan or Rishadan. Okay, so I think I make my move now. I don't want them drawing another land. I'm about to sacrifice so many lands. But it's cool because my opponent's going to die, so like, I guess I can't complain too much. Interesting. Okay, getting rid of my colored mana sources. Good plays, good plays. And there's an argument to just not even do this right now, because then I would only have one land to give protection. So I think it's probably still good to do it, but I'm gonna wait. Again, this is really bad against the Rishadan port, but if they equip, then they get to untap, so that doesn't make a difference. Yeah, I don't know what's up with me this game. I keep doing dumb things. Like I should have done all of that main phase, and if I wasn't gonna go for it, so I should have done a pre-combat because I could have gotten in for 3. If I wasn't gonna do anything, then I should have Green Sun for Collector Oof. Yeah, I just like made a lot of silly choices. I think my opponent's in the tank because they're like, what could he have? But like, no, I'm just dumb. So we're gonna run it back as is. Slightly slower than I would like, but a lot of good cards for the matchup. Okay, my opponent mulliganed. Always good for us. We're pretty heavy on land, so I'm gonna put out a wasteland target. Yeah, I think it's worth it. It might not be like losing mana against death and taxes, like giving up the tempo advantage, not great. But like this card is such a house in the matchup. Like they have so many ways to answer Merit Lage. between the four sorts of plowshares, Flickerwisp, Crocus, and my opponent like showed they brought in Path Exile. Like it's absurd. Yeah, like you can see here how much they want this card gone. I cannot afford to do this any more times, though. Also, because I can't really afford to make that attack I just made. Ooh, that port is big, big game. Oh, yep. I'm just gonna let him have it this time. It feels bad. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. See, if I'd had the Flagstones, I could have given up the. I could have kept the Safekeeper around. I guess I could have crop rotation for it. That play honestly didn't really cross my mind at the time. But I think it very well could be worth giving up the crop rotation to keep it around. No, like my opponent's amounted a good board. Always yield. Yes. Savannah. Two cards in hand. It's like what are the odds that they actually have another way to deal with Marrow Age? Like we know one of their cards, so they only have two unknown cards. The odds are not good. And you know, what are my odds of beating the Sword of Feast and Famine? Actually, I don't think my odds of beating Sword is particularly bad either, because if I untap, I play this big old knight. You know, they'll get in a hit. I mean, they're guaranteed at least one hit, but then I can just play the Knight of Autumn the following turn. If they had removal, they would have gotten rid of this, though. So, unless it is exactly Caracas, I think we're good to go for it. This might be dumb. But I think this is right. This is also really bad against Flickerwisp. I'm actually going to wait. Actually, again, if they had Flickerwisp, I think they would have used Flickerwisp already. So, are they still playing Recruiter? I guess it is more likely they have access to a Flickerwisp than they have access to a Wolfman. So I'm gonna wait. But I don't think they have it. I don't think they have an answer. And actually, my opponent can just make me tap. Yeah, I don't know. If anybody has any thoughts, I'm curious if you think playing the knight would have just been better here. I do think we're gonna win, but you know, I think we probably win most games where we resolve the knight. So Okay, so now they have one unknown card. Um, so the only way it punishes us is if it's like exactly Caracas. Cool. And then I have crop rotation against the jury step. Oh my god. Oh, that's so brutal. Oh, that feels really bad. Hmm. Okay, so I'm trying to think. I could get a. That feels so bad. I could get like a Sajiri step here and keep it alive, but I don't think there's much need to do that. Wow, that just feels so unbelievably bad. Um, I kind of want to get a wasteland. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's just the play, right? Because now I can do this with like full information, basically. Um, it's the same thing um, where I really only get punished by exactly Flickerless or Caracas um, or the Recruiter. Those cards kill me anyways, but I'm gonna be dead no matter what if they have an answer to the Merit Age. But some of them are sorcery speed. It's more likely they have the sorcery speed answer 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. So 14 actually. I miscounted. Um, oh, but again, they should just port me. Well, they can't port and activate and equip, I guess. Man, that Caracas was so brutal. I don't know. Also, I just noticed my opponent is playing snow-covered plains and plains. Oh, actually, Cloud would be so mad right now. Okay, my opponent's deep in the tank, so I wonder what that means. This is a good game, I think. Win or lose. Okay, so you're kind of forcing my hand here, which means I'm probably dead. But the odds of them having something are so slim that I will accept my hand being forced. Could be wrong. It's definitely possible I'm just supposed to path. But I doubt it. I mean, because if I pass something, Yeah. Okay, what do you got? What you got? Cool. Yeah, I was hoping that was all it was. Oh, okay, we got there. That was a tough one. Definitely had to work for that. Okay, welcome to the fifth and final round. Sorry if you notice a difference in the light quality. I had to take a break and do some things, so it is much later than it was when I was recording earlier. So Theo Jung, I believe, is a Rug Delver player. The Sylvan Safekeeper is not great there, but having the acceleration, the swords, and the Skyclave is not bad. I'm gonna keep it. Kind of hoping they're not Rug, honestly, because the Safekeeper is definitely better in other matchups. But I think this hand is reasonable. Again, like many of the hands we've drawn today, it's certainly not a slam dunk by any means. I don't know why I can't draw any of those, but it's it's not bad. So gonna go ahead and fetch for Savannah here to play the Sylvan Safekeeper. The reason I'm fetching Savannah is so that next turn, if I pitch the Windswept Heath, I can still play the Skycleave Apparition. I guess if I'd really thought this out, I probably was supposed to just play the Mox Diamond and leave the fetch untapped. Yeah, pretty sure it's Rug. Forest is kind of interesting. It means that I can actually turn the Thespian stage into a basic to play around Wasteland to some extent, which is nice. Okay, so let's cast Ponder. Okay, that's that's a pretty good one. Just not going to do anything here. Okay, so my opponent is not on Rug Delver. I wonder if this is Jeskai Delver, maybe? And I mean, it doesn't have to be Delver, but I know that my opponent is a Delver player, so. There's an argument for just presenting the combo here, but not being able to protect it makes it seem kind of iffy. We've seen the whites, so presumably our opponent does play Swords to Plowshares. Okay, having crop rotation makes it better, but it's very plausible they have Force of Will. So what I'm going to do right now, actually, is just Skyclave the Stoneforge. I guess there's not really much upside to getting basic planes there. Yeah, okay. So this is good. We wanted them to burn the Force of Will on something. Like, obviously we wanted that to resolve. It would have been good for us, but it's not the end of the world. So having them burn their force of will on something like that is way better than having them. Oh my god! Burn it on that. Okay, that was the worst possible draw. So that's always fun. Sometimes I want to play a second Sagiri step just because I draw the first one so much. It's like actually absurd. You know, we got a little bit punished here because if we had gone ahead and turned this thespian stage into a savannah, then we could have swords the Stoneforge Mystic. And like the main reason we didn't do that is because you know, I've put them on being a Delver player, so playing around Wasteland. But if they're just on, you know, old school Stoneblade, then this isn't good. Okay, so this attack, I guess the attack with the Stoneforge Mystic is basically free, because there's no reason we wouldn't block the Batter Skull. The odds of them not having removal are really bad, but I mean, our position is not great either way, since we drew the Sagiri step. I mean, just take it for now, because this plays around something like a Teferi, but I'm probably just going to go for it in a turn. I don't know, it seems so weak, but I also don't like just sitting here doing nothing while they already have threats out. But I can't imagine this will work out. If we are super lucky, our opponent will just concede to this. Hmm. We are not super lucky. That's fair. I mean, they did the right thing. Can't fault them. You were not the dark depths I was looking for. Okay, so I'm starting to think our opponent might not be Delver. But anyways, if they were Delver, we would be scared about Daze. But since we were able to resolve the crop rotation in a turn, I don't think they have Daze. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So one of the cool things about Parrot Lage is even when it gets swords, you just gain so much time to do things. Like my opponent is way ahead on board, but at least I have a lot of life to play with. So I have time. My deck is full of these really good threats, so you know, hopefully one of them will stick sooner or later. Well, that might not be the case. Okay. Well, keep spamming haymakers as long as we keep drawing them. You know, this is something I talked about earlier in the video, where Knight of the Reliquary just has keyword large on it, which is really nice. You know, Batterskull is like such a powerful card because it's a 4/4, it's got lifelink, like it just dominates battlefields. But here's this Knight of the Reliquary that actually costs 2 less mana. It is twice the size. You know, it doesn't have lifelink and vigilance, but it does have. Sometimes I bring a Merit Lage into play. But argue pooping out 20/20 tokens is a more powerful ability than lifelink or vigilance. So opponent digging for something likely of Swords to Plowshares. They chose to shuffle. Okay, I actually really like this attack from our opponent. I am going to just go ahead and take it. Again, I have a lot of lives to play with, and there's the possibility they just have double Lightning Bolt. Okay, so it actually is a Delver deck. We were right in our assessment. It's kind of weird that we haven't seen a Daze or a Wasteland yet. Not that I'm complaining, but it's just a little unusual. So making a Melee is probably the best course of action. And it's actually really awkward I got rid of the Sajiri step earlier, because that would be a way to fight through some flip Delvers, some insects. Okay, they knew their Delver wasn't going to flip, so I'm a little bit confused. It makes me think that the card they picked up is more than likely Wasteland. So if that is the case, it's like probably best to do this now. Making a note to sack the non-basic. So some Delver players are playing Teferi Time Raffler and or Jace the Mind Sculptor, both of which would be really bad for me here. Okay, go ahead and block. Yeah, getting the life is free, and then they can just equip it to something else. So that's pretty good. Just in case, the first 2020 coming through is not enough, we can do it again. If we think we're going to need to do it again, there's an argument for not attacking with the knight. I kind of like attacking though. Oh, you know what? So I think what I was actually supposed to do might have been to crop rotation for Wasteland and just waste them off of both light sources. Remove any possibility of an answer. I mean, not any possibility, but basically removes it from the table. I'm getting punished a little bit for hitting yield way too much there. I should have actually just swords that before damage. They would have still gained the life, but they wouldn't have gotten the Jitte counters, and then I would be presenting lethal. So that's my fault. Definitely a misstep there by me. That being said, if I play this, and then I swords, I guess if I was going to swords, it's better again to do it on their turn to play around force negation, but they will gain, they'll put +2/+2 on it or gain 2 life. So they'll gain 5/9 off of this, which puts them at 28, which is very dead. I mean, I think they're sort of brainstorming into something they're like dead either way. Brainstorming it in the nuts. Okay. So against Jeskai Delver, I don't love the Dryad Arbor, but I think it's worth leaving in. It's like not great having it in play because it just kind of dies to everything. But some of your hands, it really situates you to play a better game. The Krakus is not necessary, but shaving lands against Delver is always kind of a risky proposition. I've seen some people advocate cutting a Mox Diamond, which I'm actually pretty okay with that. This is a game where you kind of really want to have value, and Mox Diamond kind of sets you back. But again, it helps you play around days and stuff, so it is nice, especially on the draw. I wouldn't cut more than the one, but again, I actually only play 3 in my builds anyways. There's just such diminishing returns on this card. These cards are all great. Safekeeper, not great against other Delver decks, but this one's playing Swords to Plowshares. They reasonably could have Caracas. Don't love Sylvan Library against these aggressive styles, but Jeskai is less aggressive than other builds. These cards are all great. These cards are great. So I kind of want additional removal. There's, like I kind of want to bring Carpet of Flowers in, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel necessary. Like that might be a dumb thing to say. The tricks are really good. I guess I could literally just cut Mox Diamonds for Carpet of Flowers. They kind of do the same thing. So I don't know if that's necessarily right, but I don't know. It speaks to me. I feel kind of naked without any Mox Diamonds. Getting Veil of Summer in here would not be bad either. And actually, I don't really like having so much mana and not keeping Sylvan Library in. So maybe I want more libraries if I'm doing this. Something like this seems kind of reasonable to me. And then since I'm so up on mana, I could probably shave a because I really do want to get some number of Mox Diamonds back in here. Playing around Daze is just really good. Daze is such a strong card. Okay, we're just going to run it like this because I'm running out of time. But I don't love the choices I made here. I think I probably should have shaved crop rotation. Sand is slow. Sand is very slow. It really does only one thing. If this just doesn't resolve or get stays, then the sand's pretty crappy. But their deck is also slow. Wastelands have the potential to be backbreaking. It can present the combo on turn 4 in multiple ways, which is nice. I'm going to keep. Same caveat, this hand is actually not particularly good. Always had it. I mean, like, just never didn't have it, so. Okay, so there's a definite argument for just wastelanding my opponent's Tundra here and hoping that they just don't have a follow-up. But, that runs the huge risk of they continue advancing their board if they do have a Tundra and we really didn't do anything. So that's really awkward to kind of time walk ourselves like that. Being said, I'm feeling a little risky. So we'll see. I would not be surprised if we get totally punished. Yep, totally punished. That's fine. We deserve it. I mean, that was just dumb. I mean, when they didn't cast, I guess they wouldn't have had time to cast a cantrip, honestly. So. Is this a true name, I wonder? It's a fairy. That's not great. I'm gonna let you all in on a secret. Knight of the Reliquary is not good against a Fairy Time Raffler. I know that might come as a shock to some of you, but it's true. I've actually done the research, so. That being said, I'm gonna play it. It's actually definitely possible I'm not supposed to play it because they have to bounce, and that's gonna make them draw a card. Whereas there's a chance they wouldn't have bounced. Okay, well, that's just like the worst. It's the stone worst. Um, I should have played a Wasteland last turn to play around that. Okay, we finally see our first days. Good for them. It's about time. They put it in their deck for a reason. Am I just stone dead? Yes, I am dead on board. Got it. Okay, so that game was not nearly as good for us. Thanks. Okay. Just gonna make some minor cosmetic changes here. I really do want libraries since they're playing such a slow kind of plan. Greenstone Zenith is just really expensive, which sounds like a weird thing to say, but I just don't really want to draw multiple of them. Feels, oh shoot. Oh wait, no, yeah, I want Night of Autumn in my deck. I was like, why did I have this first Delver? But because they're playing equipment. So good reason. So there's a definite argument for just getting Dryad Arbor here. Not running this straight out. I kind of hate, it's really weird because like you want to play it on one because it's so strong, but playing it on one and letting it lightning bolted is also kind of just the worst thing in the world. Okay, they chose not to shuffle. It's always bad. Always bad for us when they don't shuffle. Okay, so here we are fortunate in that we can play around a lightning bolt. So that's really good. Okay. I wonder if they're going to swords us. Because I'd really like to untap having the flagstones in play. But if I get swords, then it doesn't look nearly as good. Sweet. Worked out the way we'd like. Relatively confident their Delver is going to flip since they kept their Ponder. So there's an argument for just casting the Swords to Plowshares now. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, maybe now I like it a little bit less. I wonder if they were just looking for a land. If they miss their land drop here, then that's insane for us because we can turn this into a wasteland and then just double wasteland them. It seems unlikely that that is what's going to happen here, but it's possible that's what they were looking for with their cantrip. True name. That could be a problem. Being said, we don't have to worry too much about equipment for it. Possible I was just supposed to get a thespian stage there. I really like both taking them off of a blue source, or like all their blue sources, and also just getting night. It's really awkward. Um, I could get a second Elvish Reclaimer here, and then I'm just like very ahead in this race. Kind of like that. I also like being able to get Wasteland again, though. So I'm just going to Green Sun for 1, or for 0, get Dryad Arbor. I think progressing my mana at this point is pretty strong. So let's see if they have a follow-up land. They don't. That's really good for us. What do I want to turn this into? I do have another Flagstones. So I'm going to get that. I have one more Savannah left. So hopefully they don't have the Force of Will here. And so here's like, I think they have it. Oh, no, they don't. That's really good for us. And so like, here's the kind of point where we could have tried to set up the combo. We have to fight through the wasteland, but we can just like overpower them by having huge creatures. They drew a blue source, so that's slightly unfortunate, but it's hard to complain about this board state. Yeah. Opponent's conceding, can't deal with Knight of the Reliquary. Yeah, so a nice 4-1 with the deck. So yeah, I definitely didn't play the cleanest, but the strength of the deck kind of carried me. The 4 Mox Diamonds, it was weird. I kind of liked seeing them, but there were a couple times where I had 2, and the second one was just like never good. You know, only playing 3 does mean that you get it in your opening hand less often, but I think it's worth it to cut 1. The Swords of Plowshares were pretty good, honestly. I am used to playing with Path Exile, so that I'm not putting my opponent above 20, but the swords were actually really nice. Just and I'm also not used to playing for the removal of the main deck, I should say. I'm generally used to just banking on my creatures, outclassing my opponent's creatures, kept playing like this limited game. But actually having it was really good. Crop rotation is always great. Sometimes I wonder if we should cut some number of crop rotations though, because I really win so many games just by Knight of the Reliquary being insane and having the threat of the combo. Like I don't think I actually combo nearly as much as I threaten it. Elvish Reclaimer is insane. The Sylvan Safekeeper, I mean, this card did a lot of work in some of the matchups. Sylvan Library is great, best card draw we have. The Skyclave Apparitions were good. They were definitely relevant, but the double white was kind of awkward, which is a weird thing to say in a Flaxlands with Trocare mana base. But I did feel like I had to go out of my way to get double white. I think part of the issue is it's really the only card that requires double white. Everything else you just need the 1 pip, so it's a little awkward. I think 2 is probably good. I think I'm playing 3 in my list, but I'm also heavier on the Flagstones plan. I have, the full 4 Savannas in my list, but I think this card is good. I might just want to tweak the mana base ever so slightly to fix it just a little bit more. I'm trying to think of where our differences in the mana base lie. I think I don't have these 2 fetches. I would have to look again. I also have Once Upon a Time, so it's easier for me to find additional mana sources in my opening hand, and more likely for me to have Elvish Reclaimer going to fix my mana. But yeah, the deck was great. I really like Knight of Autumn. I don't think I'm currently playing it, but that card is always impressive to me. It's won me so many games. It's just so nice. Like it doesn't do do the best job at anything necessarily, but it just comes up a lot. And it's really nice that you can always just Green Sun Zenith through it, through a Blood Moon to kill that, or like I've played against Burn and have it come up, and I've won plenty of games by just putting the counters on it. The sideboard was fine. Again, I was just like not excited to bring in the Carpet of Flowers, even against the Delver decks, because I feel like you're already favored. The Veil of Summers, I was not super excited about. The Chokes, I wasn't super excited about, which is a weird thing to say. All of these cards are very good. I just don't know if they're necessarily where I want to be. The Carpet of Flowers is actually probably correct, because once you get it in play, it's just better than Mox Diamond. Well, I guess you can't even say that, because doing things on your opponent's turn is relevant. Being able to activate the combo on their turn does matter, so I guess it's not 1-for-1 better, but the Carpet of Flowers, I guess, is pretty good. I don't know. I'm a little torn. Mindbreak Trap, we played against the Entombsday, and it kind of showed my worries that I have with this card, where in the second game, I had the Mindbreak Trap, and they just didn't cast 3 spells. I think that's... Oh, no, they did. But they almost didn't. Like, I couldn't hit the Doomsday, and then post-Doomsday, it's so easy for them to have Force of Will or Thoughtseize or something. So it's a little bit worrisome to me. I've heard talk about Archive Trap, which is kind of neat. I think that's tech that moved over from Vintage, because that actually just kills them, and they don't have time to really draw through their deck to do anything about it. But the issue with Archive Trap is it's way more narrow than something like Mindbreak Trap, whereas I can bring Mindbreak Trap in against Ant or Tess. So I'm not really sure about that. I'm still trying to figure out what the best slot there is. Deafening Silences seem like they're probably pretty good there. The Path Exiles were good, but I don't know that I need that much removal. Between the Paths, the Swords, and the Skyclave Apparitions, that's just a lot of ways of removing things. So I think we can probably find sideboard cards that are more impactful in other matchups. But I really need to take some time and sit down and just kind of map this deck out against the format. Also, just, while we're here, I might as well say, I mentioned that I've been playing this deck a couple times, and that my list looks slightly different. So for anyone who's curious, this is the list I've been playing with. So, it's got a lot of similar features, the same basic premise with the lands. One extra flagstones. I'm playing one less fetch and one less wasteland. I find oftentimes you really don't need to bury your opponent with four wastelands. When you do, it feels great. Don't get me wrong, but it hasn't been necessary. The Thalias has given me a little bit of extra game versus those combo decks, which I mentioned repeatedly. I am kind of worried about. So that's been nice. The Once Upon a Times have been good. And I should say that this list is heavily based upon starting point from Dom Harvey. So I'm definitely not taking all the credit. And then my sideboard's a little bit different. Again, I think the Leyline of the Voids are really important for this deck. I think just having interaction on turn zero is very important versus the graveyard decks. I think they're very beatable, but you have to come prepared. Um, I have my own chugs, but I was planning to cut them. I just need to figure out what I want to replace them with. I sung the praises of Night of Autumn, and I don't actually have one, but Rex Sage I think is kind of better as a sideboard card because it's easier to resolve through a Blood Moon. But Night of Autumn is, I think, the better main deck card. So I think Waka was right to play Night of Autumn if they wanted that effect. But I think it's conversely correct for me to play Rex Sage when I want that effect. Tireless Trackers are really good for me. People aren't playing Galactique. I think just having a second oof, a second real bullet for these storm decks is actually very important. Um, it's really unfortunate it does literally nothing against Doomsday, but I think Ant's making a big comeback. It's also like kind of relevant against Sneak and Show. Um, it's good against the Urza decks. So I just think Galactique is still good. I might just be holding on to a more simple time, but I think this card's pretty great. But anyways, yeah. So this was the deck. I do think it's good. It's been treating me well. Merit Late strategies have been treating me well in general lately. So highly recommend people check it out. Uh, if anyone has any questions, feel free to hit me up. If you liked this video, please let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and try to make some more. But if nobody likes it, then there's not really a reason for me to make more. But if I get some good feedback, then I will put out more of these. Try to play whatever I think is relevant and people might want to see. Yeah. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Expedition Map. Make sure to follow my podcast at uh, Depths_pod, I think. No, it's in my Twitter bio. Just follow me and then look at my Twitter bio and follow the podcast. And, thanks for watching. See you next time.